All right, let's kick this off. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Should be good to go. We got YouTube, we got IG going here. Welcome, welcome. Mr. Blue here, TradePhantoms.com. My man Sean Callahan on IG Weekly, Daily. Ping me. What's up, brother? What's up, brother? What's up, brother? Sean Callahan pinged you for gold 4-hour COG, outside day, outside week. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know we're long. We're long gold. We were talking about that all day yesterday. Hopefully you're well, brother. All right, Mr. Blue here. I'm gonna kick this off because usually I start the trade room a little bit earlier than this. We got some stuff going here. What's today's date? It's the 5th, June, 2025, right? Thursday. And we got your host, Mr. Blue, TradePhantoms.com. Let's dive in, right? So quickly, just really briefly, today obviously is Thursday, right? So we got unemployment claims in regard to economic news that is planned. Right, that already came out. All right, the numbers are already out, what have you. Right, I'm not going to turn this into an econ 101 class here. All right, at the end of the day, we have to go to the charts and trade the charts anyways. Okay, I usually I don't trade the news or anything like that. Right, I'm aware of the news, but I'm locked into the price action. I'm locked into the tape, and at the end of the day, you got to react and respond to what the price action is doing anyways. Right, so. But anyways, the good news is it's over with, right? 8:30 a.m. Eastern is when that came out. And other than that, we're pretty much good. We get Canadian dollar is topping or doing something over here, PMI, IV PMI, 10 a.m. Eastern, but that's probably not going to affect U.S. markets as much, of course, right? So just real quick, let's do some due diligence here. Institutional order flow, demand supply is the main backdrop of Phantoms. Top down. Multiple time frame analysis. We always start with the monthly time frame, high time frame. Orange color code is that. So whatever you see in orange has to do with the monthly time frame. Okay. For example, yesterday we touched we snagged above this March high, right? So anyways, let me control myself. Weekly color code, yellow. Okay. Daily blue. That's the color code, right? So anything you see in blue has to do with the daily time frame. Weekly is going to be yellow. Candlesticks, a bunch of fancy names. Talked about candlesticks yesterday, right? In the live trade room, right? Location being most important is the key takeaway there. Bearish, fancy names. However, location being most important, where these are printed is more important. All right. And then we got the liquidity map here. All right. I'll park that here. Usually put that to the left-hand side here. And this typically comes up just naturally once or twice, maybe within sessions here. All right. Let's kick over into the futures. Major 4 indexes. My man Sean Callahan's already talking about gold. Let's take a quick peek at that. Right? Gold trying to go. Still inside there so far. Looks like, right? Yeah, dropped down a little bit here off the back of that news. Made a new high. All right, we'll get to this. But came into a level here. So I know my Phantoms members are definitely knew what to do here. TP up here, up into this. Actually had this like little thing here, right there, right. So bullish. Talked about this yesterday in the live trade room. With these, we had like a whole shindig on this thing here, right? Explaining these importance, right, but of candles, right. I'm not going to go into that right now. That was yesterday. This is today. All right, so we're talking about the liquidity sweeps and all that good stuff there. Super important, but pulling back now though, right? So hopefully everybody did some distribution, sold some on that new higher high into some levels there. All right, Super Dave, my man is in the house. Stay close, brother. Mr. Black's coming back, I think, from Mr. Black's coming back from a little shindig, so I'm gonna be talking to him about you soon, brother. Get the S&P futures daily time frame upper left, Nasdaq daily time frame upper right, Dow Jones lower left, Russell 2000 bottom right. Pop open the daily time frame of the S&P futures. Let's scroll in a bit here, okay. And kind of freaky, but here's today so far. S&Ps are up 0.3%. S&P futures. Yesterday was kind of just kind of a sideways day for indexes. Nasdaq and S&P is kind of a little bit more of a range bound. Caught some good trades yesterday in the live trade room. However, whatever, today we have, coming off the back of, this is this week on Monday. We have Monday, okay, nice little bullish bar, okay, getting long this market, okay. Tuesday, some good fall through. Yesterday, Wednesday, a little bit of a kind of sideways day, right? Touching some supply up here. Remember that 6,000, right? 6,007, 6,015. The high so far is 6,016. Okay, we had a level up here that I was mentioning here. Okay, so that's the high right now. So we did kind of already break out into yesterday's high, yesterday's low. We already kind of broke out on that. All right, I'm going to get to SPYs in a moment here, but we have this March high, all right, March high that we're sifting through on the spot in the SPX, and a key level on the SPX 6,000. Okay, so we are going to be covering that and talking a little bit about that. That's going to be in a major effect potentially here today. Okay, in trading session. Anyways, if I go up and left, okay, we got 6,035. Okay, again, SPX and SPY. I'm going to be focusing a lot on in regard to the S&P complex. Okay, but I got this 60.35 pin above price. And if you took the supply level, I mentioned that we had this 6,015 area. Okay, and so if anybody kind of up above this 6,007, 6,008. Right now, we're kind of off of that. So if you did take a short off of that, I would suggest to get a mean reversion right now. So you might want to take profit on that, okay, or at least some. All right, we'll map out levels lower as well. The work's already done for us, so it's going to be short and sweet. Okay, I'll try to keep it short and sweet. We have some levels lower. Okay, 59.60, 45 handle, 33 handle, the 59 in front of that. Okay, we get this daily high, which was just a kind of random Tuesday. Okay, 6.3, right? That's a daily low. All right, Tuesdays, 6.3. And then we get this week's low, which is Monday, 6.2, right? June 2nd. Okay, down in here, 58.70 handle around there. Okay, so just again, mapping out that yesterday's high, daily lows, etc. Lower. All right, NASDAQ, similar. NASDAQ, similar in that level is going to be, or setup's going to be fairly similar. As you can see, NASDAQ's a little bit more stronger this morning versus the S&P. But we'll get to the Qs in a moment. But we're very close to the all-time high on NASDAQ. So I'm just going to drop down here to the smaller time frames, move this over, and we're just going to map out the Globex traps here. So let me move this over here. So you get the monthly here, weekly here, daily here if you're visiting the channel, monthly, weekly, daily. Got the smaller time frames here, or intermediate, I would say, 1 hour time frame here. Switches over to the S&P futures. We're going to drill down to the 60-minute time frame. 60-minute up here, 30-minute down here. 5 here, 2 over here, hard right edge. 1 hour, 60-minute S&P futures. Globex high. Well, what do you know? We got we had the 60.15 tag. Globex high is 16 handle. See that spike right there? All right, Globex low. There's a low right there. So literally, this hourly candle right now just set up the Globex high and the Globex low. Okay, interesting. Okay, as you can see, we get some levels below this, as was called Globex traps. Okay, so don't need to explain that much regarding this, but as we could probably save a little bit of time here. But we're talking about, we had the supply level here, we hit it. Okay, we dropped down. It just dropped down to the 30-minute time frame, by the way, of S&P futures. Had this, we talked about this drop base drop. This was previous Globex kind of traps here, right? Supply came here, and then, okay, great. You see this little level right here. Okay, this is today's Globex low. If I look down and left, right? If you look down here, look at this guy right there. Okay, there's an impulse, basic impulse. Okay, that popped out this new high. Supply was one supply that worked out. Drop base drop, institutional order flow right there. Drop base drop worked out. Okay, but we have overall still markets in an uptrend right now at the moment, right? So it pulled back, right? You got a little good move off of this. Don't get me wrong, right? All right, and then we got a rally, right? Then we get a base, and we get a pop, right? All that being said, 59.45 S&P futures, 30-minute time frame here. Nice little fresh institutional level, which we what's called a G trap. Not short. We're gonna fix this long. Okay, that's a good one there, right? That's a good one there. Now, these markets have been, now be careful, we always have to check VIX, but these markets have been like swiping quick new highs and quick new lows. Yesterday, for example, we had a Phantom member, Mark, called out beautiful level of Globex trap. Like it was unbelievable, right? So and I'll get to the Nasdaq in a moment. I'll show you that level, but and then we went to a Globex low, right below a Globex low. So map these levels up, folks. You know, if I want to trade with the trend, so you know, in the event that we do kind of swipe down here, okay, I got that 59.45, but I also have this 59.60 because I say all that to say this: if we do swipe right a little bit below this Globex trap, there's a bit of a rally-based rally IBI right below there. Let me just show you that really briefly. Right below, right there. Okay, so here's the Globex low to orient yourself. I'm going to look at this 59.60 handle right below here. Okay, and then you can see there's a little bit of a rally, a little bit of a basing and a rally right here. Okay, so I did put this already on the board here, and I put an aggressive asterisk on that just because it's the first one right below the G trap. But these have been working really great in this market as of late. Okay, so 59.60, good little bit of an entry there. 59.45 S&P futures there. Nasdaq futures, straight to the 60-minute time frame. All right, Globex high. Take this blue line here. This is the symbol to the S&P, right? Go slow. Here. All right, this is supposed to be green here. Hold on, just give me a second. So there's no confusion. There we go. Okay. So Globex high, Globex low. We're gonna look at. I'll look at Qs in a moment for some supply. You'll see that in a moment. Okay, but keep it short and sweet. Okay. If I go Globex low below the Globex low. Oh, by the way, shout out to I wanted to show you all the mark level, right? So he called up yesterday in the live trade room. It was beautiful. Oh man, I just moved the Globex trap. We had a Globex low, Globex high, right? So we you know there it is right there, Mark. We were talking about this 21,732, right? And so that was a supply level right above, right? This little basing drop right here. This was yesterday, right? So we were talking about there's two of them up, there's three of them up here, right? So this one right here, drop right in here. Okay, had that level mapped out by a member, which is beautiful, right above that Globex high. Nailed the top, okay? Nailed the top. You know, we had a nice little drop down. Okay, we broke the Globex low, just did a little sweep right there, and then came right back up, and then finished the day, you know, kind of up yesterday, as you know now, right? So now the Globex high, Globex low. So shout out to some Phantoms members here, mapping out some awesome key levels here and following strategy. All right, it's a beautiful thing to watch and see people grow. Globex high here, Globex low here. For today, as a Globex low or Globex bull trap, you want to reference this daily low here. Okay, there could be some liquidity sweeping right there. And as you can see, right below this level, if I mark this one out here. Yeah, Mark's on fire, man. Mark's on fire. There's a couple of members right now that are just like on fire. Like he did better than me yesterday. It was awesome. It was good. That's good. No ego here. And he re-engaged Meta yesterday at like that level we mapped out, and the kid's pulling triggers. Good triggers. Can I say that online? I don't know. Daily low, okay, 21,000. This is a G trap here. Long. Okay. I'm going to move on here, but there's a bit of an IBI right in here. Okay. I will map this one out a bit aggressive, meaning the 21,615 handle with an asterisk. Mark Wahlberg, we call him. Mark Wahlberg, call the Phantoms. Beast. He's a beast. 21,560 is the IBI right here that is equivalent to the TED Talk that I had in regard to the S&P with demand supply. Okay, we're going to move on. All right. So, yeah, there's some good levels right there. Anything below that Globex low would represent a G trap. So have at it. Have at it, y'all. All right, the best one here at 21,560, as mentioned. Gold futures mentioned that. I'll just take a quick look at that real briefly. I got the monthly here. I know y'all can't see anything on that. Apologies for that. Don't want to delete any of these notes. These are all prior trades, etc. Got the weekly here in the middle, and then we get the the daily here. So monthly, weekly, daily. All right, we've been talking about this. We had 2 weeks ago here. We had red bar. Okay, we had liquidity sweeps. We literally just discussed this. Okay, with the Phantoms members, probably spent almost 30 minutes just on this discussion alone. Okay, in regard to how I know when things might want to actually go because we have what's called liquidity sweeps and traps. Okay, so that's what we have these pink levels here. However, we have this supply level right here. If you look at the daily time frame here on the right on this. Where a rally-based rally, okay, we touched this once, could not make a new high here. Been talking about this for quite some time now. Okay, there's a liquidity sweep, what's called a fakey breaky. Okay, and then we're just kind of grinding up. Okay, we're talking about some liquidity sweeps in here. All right, but we have this May high. Long story short, short story long, 34.50. Okay, so if gold does pop, okay, we have a rally. This could be a little bit of a basing right here because the past 2 days, it's been moving up. We took a nice trade yesterday. I still got some, a diagonal trade on GLD. Took some gold longs yesterday, which was good in the trade room. Okay, this could be a rally. This could be the basing, and this could be a potential rally. So I'm looking at this 34.50 handle to see if they, being banks, institutions, market makers, etc., can punch and grab some liquidity up here at 34.50. Okay, and make just below there's a ton of stops here. You just know there's a ton of stops there, right? And there's a level right there. Supply, resistance, supply, right? So, markets are always about grabbing liquidity. So I would not be surprised one bit if we just get a little pop right here. Now we might come lower before we go higher, right? We might come lower before we go higher. So I'll drop down to the 60-minute time frame. Right, as you can see, we had coming in this rally base drop here. That's a daily in blue, right? Orange, monthly, May high. Right there, great, just to kind of orient. There goes our pink liquidity sweeps that we were talking about here. I'm not going to get into that right now. Already taking too much time on this. Low high here, which came into that supply level. So hopefully my Phantoms members here took some targets. Some targets here. All right. So we made a new high. Now what it mean reverting. Okay, here's a Globex low for today. And here's the level, right? And here's one thing I'll say. This could be, real quick, right? We have this 33.40 level, impulse, basing impulse right below here. Don't forget that. That's right there on the board. That's easy. Now, this could do another, potentially, liquidity sweep right down in here. Okay, quote unquote, this support level, demand right here, right? Demand. Sweep right here. So, I would almost put in a little bit of a sneaky limit order long here at 33.50. Okay, a little sneaky liquidity sweep long here. At that 50 handle. On the gold futures here. Okay. $350. Right, here's why. Here's yesterday's low. Now gold condition, it's been up, right? It's been bullish for quite some time, many years now, right? Okay, so it's been any shorts on gold have been very short-lived, okay, and etc. Whatever. So, however, if I look at the past couple of say weeks, okay, or even if I look at the daily time frame right here, okay, it's up, but it's a bit more rangy now, right? It's a bit more rangy now. Okay, it's slowing. It's still up, but it's not like in a massive bullish advancement move. Okay, pullback, bullish, crazy advancement move. Now this could be a buildup for one of those. Okay, this could be a buildup for potentially one of those if we break out. Okay, but we could still come down way down here on this low range. Okay, because that bullish breakup might not happen until 6 months from now. Who knows, right? Who knows? The point that I'm trying to make here is that don't don't think that we might not that we can't sweep below this daily, which is yesterday's low. Which comes in at what? About 33.66. Okay, so we might. This is going to be some good potential setup because this is a kind of more. It's bullish, right? But it's a more rangy kind of condition as of late for the past several weeks. So we could drop down and grab some liquidity here. Okay, all right, and that's how gold has been doing it, right? Look at this. Like look, market. Not everything is the same, but it rhymes, right? Markets don't do the exact same thing, but it rhymes, right? It rhymes, right? So don't look at this, right? So over here, this cycle inside day range, right? Look at the demand, right? Support, sweep right there, right? And we nailed that because I went down to a small drop rally over here, right below there. So it's happening potentially again. Okay, we have a new impulse high. Now we're price discovery range. Okay, demand, right? Supply. Flip, demand on the other side, demand, support, everybody gonna have their stop losses here, swipe below here for a potential liquidity sweep, okay, to take it potentially higher, okay, super important there, okay, we had a discussion on that. All right, let's move on. VIX, where you at? That was gold futures, by the way. Just go GLD. I still have this diagonal on. We were talking about this in the class yesterday. GLD, but gotta move on. We got 20 minutes before the market opens. Tesla gapping down. Pretty heavy. It's diagonal. Pulled back on me yesterday. These are going for 8. Oh, I know. This one. Oh, okay. Oh, no, this one right here. Good. All right. So what? Just pull back on me that much? There we go, 11. All right, get that diagonal on there. I can't go too far here. Got some targets up here. I'm seeing if gold can potentially break out and continue its breakout here to potentially test these this monthly high. This is not last month's high. Let's just May's high. All right, can move on. $315 handle GLD. All right, we got the weekly on the left, daily on the right, VIX. As Tom Keene would say on Bloomberg, quiescent. We got a VIX 17 handle. All right. VIX is low, right? So VIX up, market down, VIX down, market up. A lot more to that, but I'm going to map out the overnight high, overnight low inside VIX. We had a little discussion on VIX yesterday in the live trade room. I'm not going to get into it right now. Being a little over 15 minutes before the market open here. All right, so I'm just going to kind of press forward. And SPYs. Weekly on left, daily on right. Zooming in. And we closed here, right? Daily time frame here. We starting to break out a bit, right? Starting to break out a bit. We had a nice little, we had this weekly bar here, inside weekly. So this week so far, beginning of the month here, we're starting to break out just a little bit, right? Monday, set up the stage here for this bullish candle here. Fall through. Yesterday we came up into March high, monthly high, March high, right? And then we had a daily high, as you can see, right above there as well. So we kind of came up into the 598 and on SPYs. We had a daily high here and we dropped off. Now we closed down here. We're gapping up. So this is a decent gap here, in that we have closed red gap up here. And so kind of today we'll see if we can potentially even break this daily high here, potentially fill this space from SPYs 598 into this 599, maybe 600. All right, maybe 600 potentially. All right, we'll see. But the markets can go down, right? So we're going to see how the intraday tape unravels. Okay, but so far decent little gap here. Red bar close, gap up, still inside gap. All right, applied open for SPX real quick. I'm going to get some options depth going here in a moment. All right, we're about 0.28, 0.30%. SPX here. Everything that I just mentioned in SPYs, very similar to SPX. All right, we might be snagging above this 6,000 hill in SPX. We might be making some history today. 0.28. So within yesterday's high is 59.90. Okay, again, above that March high. I've been talking about this for quite some time now. All right, and we are a little bit, we did base and break. Okay, we're only a couple of percentage points off the all-time high, but just kind of zooming in right now. We got an SPX. We get a daily high right here that might provide some decent liquidity to break if we get above this 59, call it 53, 54 handle. We got the 6,000 here, and then I got 6,010 daily high right above here on the SPX. And again, these are potential areas where it could go to grab liquidity. All right, at 6,025 and 6,031, we did speak a little bit about. There's a little sneaky level right here that I want to put on the board here for today. There's so I kind of zoomed in here. Let me make this chart bigger. In the event that we really do kind of like punch and squeeze and go. All right, there's a rally, there's a basing and a drop right above this March high, which we already came into. We already tested this daily high yesterday, 94 handle, 6,000. We got the 6,010, 6,025 is a rally, a basing, and a nice little drop right there. Okay, right above these monthlies and dailies. Okay, and that it's fairly decently fresh right there. So this could potentially be on the board or on the dock here today. So I just wanted to make yourself aware of that. That level, 1 hour time frame here, came in Monday, February 25th. If you want to reference your own personal charts. Okay, this is SPX on a 1 hour time frame. All right, and that's mapped out. All right, and that's mapped out. Moving on. Options depth. Implied open, give or take, about 59, call it 85 to 59.90, give or take. 59, just under 6,000, right? And let's see. Let me just zoom in real quick. Just below 6,000. Did I say above? Just below 6,000. This is interesting. If we do happen to break above 6,000 today, we do have a bit of what's called a negative GEX profile a bit above here. All right. And I'm not going to get into it right now, but there's a lot of option activity at this 6,000 handle. Okay. With options depth. Okay. A lot of activity here. Okay. So there's, so the market makers, well, I don't want to get into it right now, 15 minutes before open. Okay, my phantoms will kind of know as we train on GEX and use options depth profile. So not want to get too excited here, but we do have some light GEX above 6,000. All right, so I don't want to get too excited here, but if this market catches some bids and goes above, there could be a bit of a squeeze. Remember, I mentioned I put that 6,025 level, right, supply level on SPX on the board here today. And that's what we have what's called positive gamma up here. Okay, there's a gamma node up here. 6,030. My phantoms members will know. They'll connect the dots here. All right, or at least I'm hoping. All right, so pretty interesting. Positive gamma node 5985. Okay, 5985. So we got some. We'll see. There's also another. This looks like a spread down here, I'm sure, but 5950, a little bit of a negative GEX. But this looks like a spread. I think I'm going a little bit too crazy here on this, but man, shout out to the options depth boys. They put together a beautiful product, and I love it for real traders. It's a beautiful thing. All right, so just talk about SPX. Qs. going on? Greatness Drive. I mean, great one. It's in the house. Monster trading cues to start off this week. Still long this bad boy. Monster trade. Talked about this trade in the Monday prep sessions. Just absolute good trade here. Went heavy, added to this thing like 3 times. So we're going to be gapping up, folks. So if you still have this QQQ 528, Friday. Now we're getting to Friday's expiration, right? Today's Thursday. Theta decay. So 528 strike. That's 528 strike. We're already above that. This is in the money, so this is good. Okay, so we got long this on Monday based on this positive COG here. Beautiful follow through. All right, so we're gapping up, so you might decrease up, take some profit. All right, I'm gonna obviously take some time on that to at least shave off a contract or two to continue to take profit on this. Okay, yesterday's high, yesterday's low, great. I mean, really on Nasdaq, it's kind of crazy, but we're breaking through. This is a weekly high right here, up here. It's open space here now. We can't get too excited because we can obviously pull back. Okay. But man, this is the all-time high on Nasdaq, and we're only a couple of percentage points off of that. Okay, 2% off of Nasdaq all-time highs. Crazy, right? Kind of crazy how fast that thing dropped and came all the way back just in like what month and a half, give or take. Apple, we already talked about GLD. Be careful with Apple. Some Phantoms members took this trade yesterday. Wasn't even a great setup, but boy, did they nail it. They nailed it. I didn't even take it, but they took it. Man, shout out Blessing. She's a queen. Killed it yesterday. Called it TP. Just absolute domination on that. But let's not get too excited because it's still in this range. So what's crazy about this is, which I'm so happy about, is that even within this pinch with Apple, in the middle, this is a weekly time frame over here on the left. Okay. Phantoms members are still grabbing, not even with the greatest conditions. They're in the pouring rain, okay, with thunderstorms and wind, and they're still hitting that. So crazy, good job. But let's be careful with that. It's gapping up, in the middle of yesterday's range. So make sure that proves to you if you're gonna grab a trade on that for the open. All right, it's maybe not the greatest setup as talked about, but killed it yesterday. Amazon weekly on the left, daily on the right. Now Amazon has been on my list. And, it's been a little tricky here because, again, similarly to Apple, which I've been saying for a couple days or weeks now, okay, this is a little bit of a pinch, but we are gapping up here today. We are gapping up into an unfilled gap. All right, one thing, so you see it's closed today, yesterday, I should say, today, is gapping up into 210. So we are trying to punch through up here, right? So Amazon's going to be interesting here. However, we are gapping up into this unfilled gap. So you might want to, you can work on this, see how the intraday tape is going to look like here. We have an unfilled gap that we're gapping up into, okay, gap down, and then we haven't filled that yet, right? So we are gapping up into that, but you might want to look for some potential retest levels on the back end over here, okay? In the event that, and again, what is SPY going to do, what's the S&P is going to do, etc. Okay, but this would be area where we have a pullback potentially, okay, as a retest. All right, and there's a little bit what I dropped down to a time frame. This is a 1 hour, right? 1 hour. There's a bit of a drop base. There's a couple of them. There's a monthly up here. I already have that mapped out. And there's a little guy right here too, 211 handle. All right, so it was going to be interesting if it gaps up and just catches bids and it swipes up to the 11-12 handle here. Okay. That could be the case, or if it gaps up, if we start to get wide range bars, red, we might be able to get a retest down here. Okay, on that. Amazon's pretty interesting today. Algo earnings today. Jason Rodriguez, another member that was crushing it yesterday, and just overall in general. I see you, brother. Jason Rodriguez from Phantoms. Earnings tonight. This thing's just blowing off new highs. Saved a bunch of people to not short this thing, get long this thing, right? However, now we have new all-time high here. All right. So we have this basing, we have this breakout I was talking about here, absorbing and absorbing, new punch, short squeezing out, new high in the abyss, no supply to the left. So it's going to be tricky, right? So it's going to be tricky. So earnings tonight, you never know. Earnings are like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, right? You can have a company that has good earnings, but it gaps down by 10%, right? You can have a company that has bad earnings or it misses, but it gaps up by 10%, right? So it's one of those things, right, where some people love it, right? Some people stay away from earnings a little bit there. I will say in my long-term portfolio, okay, I've been mentioning about this. I'm starting to, realize some gains, of course, especially before earnings, because what if, this is a pump new high, and even if the earnings come out great or they're okay, what if this thing, gap down by, I'm not trying to say this is what's going to happen, but 4 or 5%, okay? So if this is in your long-term portfolio, okay, what could you potentially do right now? You'd be potentially buying some puts, right, to protect your shares that you're long as insurance. You buy a put, right? But most what I'm doing, buying a put, which is kind of like not bearish, but that's insurance policy, right? And if you have long-term portfolios and I own shares, which I already started to take some profit on this, I mentioned this. I'm not getting all out of my shares in my long-term portfolio, but I could potentially lock some in. Like for example, let's say you own 1,000 shares. Okay, could you take maybe 200 shares off, 300 shares off, or something like that? Right? You realize some gain. You still have a good position in your long-term portfolio. Okay, but you realize some gains and some profits. Okay, but so therefore, if it gaps down by 5-10%, it's like, well, at least I locked in and realized some gains up here, long-term portfolio management. Okay, but you still have your long-term portfolio on. So if it gaps up by 3, I'm not exaggerating here, right? But if it gaps up by another 2, 3, 4%, we get up into the 275 handle, right? All right, and you say, okay, well, great. I took some profit on this, a day or two before earnings, right? And well, now it gapped up high. Well, great. I could take maybe 100 shares off again, or 200 shares off. Okay, out of the pie, if you will, right? Because at some point, of course, right, stocks don't go up forever. Okay, they have to pull back down. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Okay, so I almost would have to go. Personally, I own shares, right? But and I have been taking some profit off of that, as mentioned. But I almost have to, go with this thing is pumping new high. It could have a little bit more of a pullback down, and just the fact that we have like these long puts of people potentially just insuring their portfolio, that might be heavy on this a little bit here, right? But who knows, right? With the trade room, I do go into detail how we can potentially play like straddles, strangles, we price things out and things like that. Probably not going to do that today on YouTube. All right, but potentially for the day trade today, be careful because the implied volatility is going to be a bit more higher for the this Friday's expiration because obviously tomorrow's earnings or tonight, I should say, right? Google. Google gapping up here, decent. Google breakaway gap here. So we get some stocks that are breaking away on the gap. You have to make sure that it does not. Talked about Amazon, right? The gap up into a level. All right, the unfilled gap on Amazon is right here. Close here, gap down, and then for that, so pre-market yesterday's close here inside day, gapping up outside of that. All right, but reference this 172.85 handle. As a quick unfilled gap. I just looked up the time. We're going to move forward. Going to get to my man Steve Hewitt. Meta. Do Meta right now. My man Steve. Meta breakaway gap. Caught Meta yesterday. The team caught it yesterday. Great. It is moving. We have these daily. It's above this weekly high here. This thing is getting some legs. Now we have to be a little cautious because for a pullback, but this thing is a breakaway gap. If anybody is still long Meta, I mentioned this in the first swing. We got a couple of daily highs right in here, so you might want to reference up here. Want a daily time frame here on the right. So this would be some take profs. If or long, if and long. 703. This thing, but we do have, we have a drop, basing drop. So we are kind of coming up into a level, but this thing has one of the stronger Mag 7 tickers at the moment. We've been on Meta since like last week into this week. I'd also reference the 695. It's a bit of a drop-based drop here as well. There's some space here. All right, but yesterday's there's a 1, 2, 3 go pattern. We were on top of it yesterday, indeed. So if long TP some up here, we have there's a couple levels up here, so there might be a pullback here, right? So what does the intraday tape say? We open. Let's switch this over to the daily and we get some quick internals. Test the gap down. Into that level. Thank you for that, Eric A. The actual damn 29-second delay, huh? No bueno. I'm happy you kind of timed that out. So reference point. Tesla's interesting on this gap down here. Let me get some internals though, real quick. We got VIX. Just chilling right now. Microsoft wide range bar off open. NVIDIA. Advanced declines. Positive, but on a down tick. Because he spies, gapped up slightly, fading lower real quick. This thing really does slows this machine down too. I'm trying to click as fast as I can, folks. A little bit of a delay even on this. I move fast. This market's looking a little heavy, folks. This wick on the video off the open is not great. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to short this thing, but the rejection on there is not great. Tesla gap down, move down, wide range bar off open, but it is coming into a level, so we have to be a little cautious on that one there, okay? Location-wise. What I was looking for, and this is crazy, but it might be, is this a daily low? This is a daily low. There could be a little bit of a liquidity sweep right down in here at the 15 handle. If Tesla gets down to the 315, that is, 315, even the 316, it's a falling knife trade, liquidity sweep, but that could potentially get interesting if they swipe some liquidity there. All right, in terms of a strike, probably wouldn't want to get too far away from the 325 handle. Let me put a pin on that real briefly. Tesla and I have kind of a toxic relationship. But you always kind of need at least one of those in life, right? 325, 330. You don't want to get too far away from that. You could pin potentially to 330. This might be even good to sneak in for end of week being tomorrow being Friday. All right. So I know it's taking a little bit of our time right now, but Amazon positive COG going against everything right now on SPYs. This could be a little sneaky play. All right, what we can do here real quick, if I were to take the maybe the 330, move to 327.5, maybe one of these two. What if this is a 327.5 here? I take this, copy this code, tomorrow's expiration, and we could put a limit order lower just on premium. All right, so I'll designate. Phantoms kind of call this the matrix, calls and put matrix, what have you, but whatever. Don't be weird. Let's open and pop this 327.5 strike call in Tesla. And if this swipes lower down into the 315, 316 handle, all right, into this demand level that we're in right now, and once we can try to get a liquidity sweep here, we can put a bid, meaning you want to buy. This is a call premium of the 327.5. Okay, so I'm just saying, okay, here's a chart on the right. If it goes lower, the call premium will decrease. All right, now typically, if I want to move forward here, but we can condition if Tesla gets to some of my Phantoms members will know how to do this because they've been around. I'm not going to do it right now. I'll just put in the bid live with y'all on the matrix. But if Tesla gets to 315, say 50, you can condition an order to potentially pick up the 327.5 call. Okay, because and that's right here. So that's like for tomorrow's expiration. So that 327 strike call is like even right there. Some folks might even just get in right here. That's the gap fill. The gap fill yesterday's close is 332, right? So it could be a little bit of a one kind of /2 day play here for this, right? And you could be patient and potentially wait to get in if we sweep below the other low inside of this basic impulse right here. All right. That said, let me see. Hold on. Let me just do it. If Tesla gets to 315.50 handle, give or take 316. This is going for 289. If it gets down there today, this will be 60, 70 bucks lower than this. So you're probably talking about like maybe 220. So what I just did there is I price sliced. Okay, so maybe about maybe $2 to maybe 220. So you can put in a limit order down here, say for like $2. All right, putting a bid there, 327.5 long call, $2 bid, price sliced it out for the if Tesla gets down to 315.5. Okay, this is probably going to be going for about 40 minus 67. Yeah, it's about $2, 220. Okay, so this is a little sneaky play there for you. Actually, what I'm going to do here, I want to put this 220. You put it at 2. You can also put one at 1, say 180. All right, in my other account, the bigger account, you can do something like that. Some folks are probably already in. All right, but you can get some bids in there, okay? 327.5 strike, tomorrow's expiration for a little sneaky play. It's coming down, right? All right. Interesting. This delay is killing me, y'all. My brain is already on the next 2 steps, and I have to wait. There's no delay in live phantoms. Thank God. All right, always get my eyes on spies. There goes that March high again, right? Whoop. Breakdown on spies. Man, this delay is killing me. Interesting daily pattern, but not closed yet. Interesting here, but not closed yet. Again, this market's very swipey. If you snag some long puts, I'd suggest a TP a little bit here on this little drive lower. Oh man, this delay is killing me. AMD. Amazon's a hard one to trust, and especially with markets a little heavy. Interesting weekly close, however, on Amazon. See how this weekly bar closes here. It's on its VWAP now for the day. AMD on its 200 period moving average here, so on daily. All right, this got filled. All right, Tesla just got filled. Let me grab this other account here. All right. The 220 and the $2 fill got filled on this Tesla long call here. Oh, I hate to keep complaining about it, but this delay is just slow motion for me. Slow motion for me. GC, my man Sean Callahan. Pull back, gold. Apple trying to put in a bar, but Apple was yesterday's hero, trying to be the hero again today. Blessings. Apple's jealous of NVIDIA for being number one stock. I'll never forget that. Hilarious. And then she crushed the trade. What a go. What a go. Gold doing its thing. It pulled back into some area here, and I got this liquidity sweep that we just talked about over here, but we'll see if that kind of punches out. The small time for you might want to wait for if you're trying to snag like gold futures, you might want to wait for the 30-minute bar to close, what's called a positive COG here, to give you a little bit more of a higher probability edge, if you will. All right, rubber down. So because we're in the middle of the range, right, of just overnight, And again, like I said, we still could swipe. Okay, we still could swipe lower, but this candle that is being potentially painted is going to be at 15, 17 minutes to close this bar. This would be a positive COG above the rising 20, above the 50, with 20 above the 15 daily VWAP after a pullback. So this could be interesting. You can potentially let it prove to you a little bit there. Plan, that would be like a plan, kind of like a plan A, and then you got like a plan B here if it does potentially sweep. And I'm not going to recap that. We talked about that on the in the morning. Microsoft 3 points from high. VIX on a bit of a new, just a quick little new daily high. I mean, I don't want to exaggerate this, but definitely something to monitor always, the VIX. Cumulative tick above the zero line there. Netflix new all-time high. RIP to the shorts. Getting outside of 2 standard deviations in the monthly and the weekly. I had this note here forever. I know a couple of Phantoms members. I've been trying to talk them off the ledge to not short Netflix. Right. But we're getting up here. But if you are, there's no supply on the left, so you got to wait. It's in the abyss, right? So the only thing that you can really use is Fibonacci extensions, which is just a fancy kind of okay, based on this pullback here. Okay, if we get into a high, what is the percent of this pullback? You get a 27, you get a 50%, 27% extension off this impulse correction here. That's all that is, right? So, but I like to use statistical data. So I got the standard deviations here. So if you're trying to short this thing, which is a death wish, and I probably shouldn't have said that. I can't say that online, probably. Dang it! But you'd want it to be outside of the BBs, Bollinger Bands on the monthly and the weekly, and that daily. And you almost want it to capitulate up. All right, you can see Tesla got filled some there, more right there, right? Live. I got that limit order in. Let me grab it over here too. We're gonna move on here. Oh, that's gold. So here's Tesla. SPY moved down. So this is going against momentum, right? So I got 220 entry and then 180. My average fill on this is $2. All right, good enough. It's delayed. Annoying. SPY fade lower. Coming into this week's VWAP. That'll be an interesting daily bar if that closes like that. We're not closed yet though. All right, we got this basic impulse here on SPYs. Last week's high, break, potential retest here today, yeah. We got this week's VWAP, which is an orange right there. I made it orange because that's monthly VWAP because it's June 2nd being the beginning of the month. So that's going to sit there all month. So coming into weekly VWAP right now, daily retest of a daily high previously. All right, just this kind of random daily high right there as a retest. All right, we got last week's high right here. This one would be obviously better if we get lower down here. It's a nasty daily bar that's coming in today, but we're not closed yet. So SPX 59.45 handle, pretty interesting. Coming into this week's view up right now with that daily retest. Let me see, 50. Just SPX. What was this? 59, 50, 59, 40-ish. 5900 massive gamma node. It's a lot of darker blue down here, so see if that'll be interesting. I wonder what that level looks like. Confluence with the S&P futures. All right, so we just broke the Globex low. So don't get trapped down here. Don't get trapped down here. But right now, momentum is something just a bit more lower. It'll be interesting to see. This futures plus SPX level right here looks good, y'all. 59.45. So I'm almost selfishly hoping that it gets just like swipes down there. Decent level down there. All right, right now we just made new impulse, new low right there. Profit take, mean reversion. We can pull a low on day VWAP here. Momentum's lower right now. VIX. Advanced decline is lower. So momentum's lower, negative COG, kind of immenting here. Let's see if this momentum can continue lower. It's hard at that weekly VWAP right there. But the better level is lower and momentum is down. So you could potentially take a little sneaky put. It's not really a negative COG just yet, but we can watch out for this. Yeah, I was trying to go, if we grab some puts, to try to ride down a little bit there. You know, VIX is not screaming at all or anything like that. I think maybe potentially go low delta. See if we try to get down here. You know, we got some levels right here too, though, 56.90. So that's a small time frame level. So if you try to ride some puts, seems like the market might be a little bit more heavier right now. Apple gave way, Amazon gave way. Things a little heavy. So you just always can keep it low risk. SPYs are trading 594 half. Now it's going to pull back on us on daily VWAP. Now, this is not really an official negative COG. Come on, man. Sorry for the delay. Yeah, Jason, Netflix is crazy, right? You know, I'm not trying to be a hero here. I don't do this for my ego at all. All right, get a dog for that or something. Go get a dog that loves you if you want an ego in this business. But um, you know, some folks trying to fans try to short that thing, and I'm like, sure about that? Sure you want to do that? I'm sure there's easy trades there. Why not catch a pullback long and get with the trend instead of trying to call a top on Netflix and chill? All right, 593, 593 strike. It's a 35 delta. These are basically, you know, if spies try to make a new low. I mean, we could go back up to VWAP here. That's the thing. So, you know, you can maybe, you know, this is not really a negative COG here. All right, so you can maybe get like maybe half size. And I don't like this coming down into this weekly VWAP here. So you know, you might want to play a little more conservatively, okay, and see if you can try to get a VWAP test off of here. All right, potentially buy a put. All right. You know, I'm not even 100% sold on that idea. But if we were to, I mean, if you were to just pick up maybe the 103, you can leg in, maybe small size. I don't like that weekly VWAP right there. But this could pull back, right? So if I get in these now, call it like 116, 113-ish. You know, if we get a VWAP test, you could probably get these for like maybe about 80 cents if you get a VWAP test. So that's a long put, SPY's 593 here. For a quick little scalp day trade lower if we can get that. All right. As mentioned, we could pull back on this. We're touching that weekly VWAP right now, retest level. So when I see blue and then I see what would be yellow because this is weekly VWAP from Monday. It's orange because it's the new month, but it's hard for me. You know, I realize I'm getting short on like a retest level on a rebalance on weeklies right here. So that's why I'm being a little weird right now. Okay. Okay. But we got a negative COG below what's called fade VWAP. So if we're gonna break below a little bit more of the mean reversion on weeklies, we'll see. Can we get a weekly retest? If we can get a weekly retest, so like this play is like, can we dive a little bit more lower with this momentum and see if we get a weekly retest on the weekly rebalance here? So that was a lot of words. My Phantoms members will know because they're trained. Blessing, tell us what to do. TP. TP. Timmy. Timmy. Oh man, I read that at the right exact time, and I was just. Oh, this delay is annoying. Quick little scalp, just using VWAP. Multiple time frame analysis in a 2-minute chat. Fade view up. At that weekly, we gotta be careful here. All right, get some limit orders down here into that weekly. All right, SPX at the 50 handle. Tesla just kind of hanging out. Again, I'm going to hold those, but for the record, okay, I want to say it right. I'm holding those Teslas, baby. I'm holding those Teslas. That's a Thursday into Friday trade, baby. All right, that's why I put some limit orders lower. All right, so don't. I'm not looking at it. I'm not even thinking about it no more. Forget about it. All right, forget about it. Make sure you TPing spies, okay? All right, you bought some long call Teslas for, a Friday expiration, 327 half strike, gap fill up here. I'm not sure we're going to get that, but if we can get a bounce today, tomorrow, whatever up here, good. Forget about it, right? Even the birds outside my window agree. Could be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. You can't always be right, especially as a trader. You got to learn the art of being okay with being wrong. Risk management. Okay. Bought Friday, tomorrow's right, expo. 327 half. Is it right? Call. And forgot about it. It's in the trading god's hands. Send. Today is going to be a fade view update. Montu shaking crystal balls. I don't have a crystal ball, but I got balls. Be careful with talking in absolutes. Today is going to be this. Today is going to be that. You don't know, brother. And you know I love you, Montu. You had one of the best trades ever. You got hot pocket. Montu coined the phrase hot pocket at Phantoms. Hot pocket. But just be careful with today is going to be a day like this. You might be right, but trade the levels and trade the tape. Don't get married to one idea and adapt. Not trying to be weird here, but I don't really see that much right now. You can add to puts right now on this pullback, but you gotta be careful, Monty, right? And I'm not, he's my guy. He's a true phantom. But we say fade view up. This could be what if get to play devil's advocate here, right? What if we swipe? We came down this level right here. TP Blessing told us to TP on those puts, right? This could be the low on the day today. We could just rip right back up and screw that fade view up all day thesis, right? In fact, we can even swipe that down. I'm waiting. I'm salivating for this 59.45 handle right here, right? So again, be careful, right? So I'm not trying to be a prick or anything, right? Right. So I'm just saying, be careful with getting locked in, just looking at like a 1-2 minute small time frame. Like today's going to be a day where it's going to do this, right? You be careful. Don't talk like that, right? Trade it. Right? And if it is, you'd be selling short right now, okay, into this momentum lower. Okay, but this 59.45, you got to be taking profit on shorts, taking profit on shorts, taking profit on shorts. If you even get that, okay, and I'm getting long here, baby. All right. And I'm not saying it's going to happen over here, but look at this, like a big move, a big swipe down, and then you think like you're gonna, this market's getting destroyed, right? Oh man, look at this market, new high, right? So you gotta be careful, brother. I digress. Hold it real close to these 5 puts. Or TP a little bit on them, so hopefully you drop your size down. Yeah, CK smoke, right? Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Dip before the rip. Potentially, right? A lot of green, blue down here. Not Mr. Blue. Positive gamma blue. It's light up here. So, okay. All right, we can even just potentially cut these. I'm just going to cut these because I can rebalance on VWAP. Cut the spies. Right? You could potentially be adding here, right? But here we get a VWAP. 30-minute bar here. I should have checked VIX before I did that, though, to be honest. Let me see VIX. Advanced decline, it's proving a little bit. I'm just trading light right now. I wish it was at this level here. I'm being all weird and stuff, but this planned level in the morning here, 59.60, is underway at the moment. Momentum still down. Adobe, let me see. Adobe broke my heart. Monthly here. Adobe's trying. For the day trade, it's looking okay. It's not 100% line. I took a loss on Adobe here. So it's below the 20, below the 20, below 20, below the 200, above the 20 here. So it's pinched. So just be careful with this. It's not really lined up. Super awesome. See, told you Netflix was going to go down. Not. One day it will come down, it'll smack down, but careful with that. Outside of 2 standard deviations up there. Man, diving into the grave with Tesla, trying to catch that low. Hard trade to do. SoFi. SPY's trying to chug a little lower. This weekly close might be interesting. Positives here. Inside bar on the weekly. It's trying to base break SoFi. It's trying to base break. This is a multiple bar weekly high, weekly low here. Yep, I got you covered, Jason. Trying to base break here on SoFi. Trying to. Monthly, weekly, daily. Keep it simple. Kiss. Keep it simple. Kiss me. Give me a kiss because I'm stupid. Keep it simple because I'm stupid. I'm stupid. But I don't know where it's going to go. So therefore, I just trade to set up an edge, map out my key levels on monthly, weekly, dailies, and have my process in my system, right? So it's trying to base break. It's trying to base break here. You got a thesis here. All right, today might be a positive COG day that might toss the ball for maybe tomorrow being Friday for the weekly COG positive here. See if you can break out mother bar on weeklies here. If it pops up, it gets up into previous month's high, which is May, right? Highlighted in orange here. That would be outside of 2 standard deviations. Okay, so if you're going for a base break here, you got a TP up here. Is this making sense? All right. I don't even need to go to the 5. I don't even need to go to the 2. All right. I got what I got right here. A couple lines: monthly, weekly, daily, base. You get to 20 to 200, get to 20, get to 200, get to 20, get to 200. Trying to go positive COG, base. Momentum is slightly higher. All right, it's been quiet since a little bit here. Trying to see if we can base break. It could be a thesis here for a little bit of a pop. All right. That's Tesla just hanging out. Depending on your average fill, you might be up a little bit on it. But again, that's something that I'm holding. Forget about it, right? So we'll see if we get a pump on that. I'm flat spies right now because I'm getting just mixed signals, folks. You gotta know when to do nothing. Know when to click the button. Know when to walk away. Light crude today. Vol D mixed. VIX above its overnight high, up 2.5%. We might be able to get a little. Might be able to get see if we can get this flush. It's a new low at 1-day VWAP right there. Micromanaging tape. Micromanaging tape. Micromanaging tape. If this gives out, could be interesting. That bah right there, candle. That weekly VWAP right there is putting a stance. If that gives out, potentially something there. So I got blue here, I got orange and blue here. So it's kind of like, what's going to, so yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting here, right? Micromanaging tape. Micromanaging tape. Yeah, so if this kind of gives out, there might be something here. What was a strike on the one that we were already kind of working on, the 593 handle? We're trading 594. Theta has gone by, so these might be too far out of the money, especially with the all that positive gamma lower. So I would want to come up to at least maybe 94 strike. That said, if I put the premium chart here for the long put, which would be bearish, but it has to break. It has to break down, right? Now, so I could put, okay, if we try to take this out here, okay, this would be like taking out this weekly VWAP and this inside bar here. Right, we could potentially get in, because if I get in right now, this VWAP is not giving up yet, right? So again, we can fade up. So if I want to buy a put, that would be bearish, right? So I would have to, I could put an order, a buy stop over here, right? So if this gives out, lower, stock price down, put premium would go up. Okay, so you can see I got the 2 minute here, I got the 2 minute here. So we go to buy stop right here on like the long put, right at like 175. All right. So therefore, it's like, okay, why don't you just get it right now? Well, what if it just bases, and you don't get that negative COG print? So you go to buy stop, say above here, like 175, 180, what have you. Okay. And then therefore, we're getting in kind of like to see if we can get that momentum and breakout move lower. But if we don't, this never gets filled, right? All right, so that's the 594. Put a limit in at 180, and that would kind of be the equivalency thereabouts. Right. So essentially, what I just did there in English is I could put a bought put, just put a conditional order. If we get lower down here, stock price down, put premium up. I'm kind of like trying to buy this breakout, which is a little ballsy because of the demand level that we're at and this weekly VWAP. Okay, so position size accordingly here. All right, and if we should try to ride momentum, okay, and we've got VWAP here, so stop loss. If I buy this at 180, I could put a stop loss on this basing here, call it 120, 119. So it's about what's 180 minus 120, 40-cent risk. Y'all with me? Right, 40-cent risk. So this is not in yet, right? the market has to give me that setup and that move to get in. All right, but for some risk management, I'm going to put a stop loss here at 119. So so I'm not in right now. So if that breaks out, right, if this happens, okay, put a stop loss here, okay. All right, so you'd be risking about 40 cents per contract. All right, so if you don't get no fall through, you're wrong small out. All right. Now the one caveat on this trade before you potentially place this is that there's something called the Globex trap. And if I go to futures, don't forget morning prep. Right? Don't forget to brush your teeth. Gross. Don't forget the morning prep. Don't forget the morning. Right? Are we at a Globex trap? We are at a small one. It's aggressive, right? So if I were to try to trade a breakout lower, it is in a trap area here. Okay, so I have to realize that. Right? Henceforth, I'm going to say, okay, this market really needs to pick up some momentum. Try to get me in so I get some fall through of this wide range bar. I'm on a 1 hour time frame here of spots, right? S&P futures. I'm sorry, S&P futures. Okay, so I'd like it to get down here. I would love to get super bullish down here, right? So I realized that order is kind of pending down here, so it has to fall through lower, and it's below the Globex low, which is a G trap. All right. All right, so not in yet, right? It's a buy stop, has to go. Tesla is up if you want to kind of scale out a little bit of that, if you want. All right. All right. I'll take a little off. No harm in that. ABC, always be closing. Okay. TP Timmy. Okay. Jason Rodriguez with the TP Timmy. So much for probably to give a below price than above right now. Yeah, Joe Frank to go at Phantoms.com. TP Timmy. You gotta know when to hold, know when to fold, know when to walk away, know when to run. You better count your money before I take that off the table. TP Timmy. And let the retail run. Concert coming July 4th. Come check me out, America. All right, I'm out of here. Yeah, I'll show you some stuff. I'm TPing some more Tesla here. I'm holding these though. Get my money back from Tesla last week. Getting that back. You gotta fight. John Martin, yeah, I think, yeah, he is, right? I think he's using that. And blessing the crowd goes crazy. Thongs and bra straps and throwing in my face and a random man's underwear. Gross. I'm gonna roll that way, man. All good though. Thanks for coming to the July 4th concert. See ya. The crowd goes crazy. This is Gex. You can take a picture of this. I'm sorry, OD options depth, SPX. Yeah, I see you on IG, Naham. That's my man, Striker. Striker's bro, right? My man. From Africa, my man. I hear you, bro. I hear you, brother. Keep grinding. Keep grinding. Everybody starts somewhere, right? Everybody starts somewhere. I started trading my first ever account, Forex, like what, $200? I felt like a king. All right. Enjoy your journey. Enjoy your journey, brother. Enjoy it. Never quit. I look back at my experience and I'm still experiencing. But like the older Wall Street, New York days, man, I miss those days, man. You'll miss it. You'll miss it. Enjoy your journey. You'll learn from your mistakes, but if you get 5-10 years deep in this business, this game, it means you're surviving, right? You'll look back at your pain and laugh. You'll welcome it because you're like, man, I needed it. Because you need to learn lessons, man. Even in life, man. I'm not trying to TED talk you. I'm not trying to Tony Robbins you, right? But regarding trading, even in life, man, it's trading will teach you a lot of things, even in life, man. Are you impatient? Are you right? Are you a maniac? Are you risk management? Are you a degenerate? Are you strategic? Are you patient? Are you executing? Are you doing your math right? Can you do math? Can you right? So, how good are you identifying an edge? But you can be the smartest person in the world, but you might not be able to execute properly and be disciplined. So there's a discipline component. So as long as I would take a disciplined person over somebody who has a PhD in the best economics and stats and math and all that kind of stuff, right? I'll take somebody that's more disciplined as a trader, that I can give them a criterion of a rule-based system to execute, regardless of what they think. Because sometimes, smart people suffer from smart people problems, right? They're trying to outsmart too many things, man. So, go to school, kids, right? I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but sometimes smart people, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot, right? So half of y'all, most of y'all are smarter than me. Most of y'all. But it's the discipline and the emotional intelligence that it takes with trading that is that great space that not everybody talks about. That real traders have to mold and go through. All right, folks, I'm gonna bang out of here. Okay, I gotta go. I don't want to put too many things on YouTube, but personally, but my phantoms know why. I got some stuff to do. Okay, so spent an hour with y'all. I got some Tesla here. I got some spies. Right. Just took a little something there, cut it. We got the futures. 59.60. Somebody wanted me to check Gex spot for them real quick. Yeah, man. Appreciate your journey. Love yourself. Stop talking so bad about yourself, but then you're trading. Oh, I'm such an idiot. Keep doing that. You work on your stuff. Sort your out. Sort your out. Right. Sort it out. I learned more from my losers and my lack of execution on bad trades that I shouldn't have taken versus more of my winning ones. When you're winning, you don't want to look. You're winning. You feel good. You're euphoric. Right. That's where you slip. Even in sports, it's crazy, right? When a team that, man, we're playing the crappiest team in the NBA, the NFL this week. Oh, we don't need to practice hard. We don't need to worry about this. We're just going to walk in the door and win. And that's how you have an underdog just smack you, right? So you always got to stay on top of it, on top of your execution as a trader. You're a professional. You got to execute. You get paid by executing. DM me on WhatsApp. I'll check that out. SN Con. So here's a get spot here. Spot's trying to break there, right? We got that Globex trap. Study the tape. You know why Tom Brady was so great? He already won 5 Super Bowls. He's still in the tape room. Still in the tape room. Still studying film. Always getting better. It's like a Boston thing, you know? Nothing's really popping out here. Nothing's really popping out here. No. Trying to work out. We got this 59.90 positive gamma here. Dude, Tom Brady and Gazelle. Crazy story. Bro. Tom Brady divorced and like cheated on? Nobody is safe. He has the chin of a god. So chiseled. .6'4". He's a Cali dude, but look what Cali turned him into. But look what Boston turned him into. Yeah, babe. He came out of Cali weird. Came out of Boston chiseled. With 10 Super Bowl appearances and seven rings. Supermodel cheated on him. What? I'm gonna play 2 more years, babe. Divorced. I've been a football player since you married me. What? Nobody's safe. All right, I gotta go before I get in trouble here. I'm out. I'll see some of y'all later. Today's on Thursdays, right? Trade safe. I'm not obligated to stay here, right? So in the trade room, I can go sometimes all day long, maybe sometimes, right? But all seriousness, right? TradePhantoms.com. Click register right there. Tonight is the night. Thursday, June 5th. Today, 7 p.m. Eastern. Name, email, all that stuff. You can click register. You get sent an email, Mr. Green, Mr. Black, one of those two. We'll be going over probably about 90 minutes, give or take. Here's the topic agenda. Okay, from Phantoms Lover, top down, right? All good, right? So check it out if you're just visiting the channel. Whatever. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, great as well. No cares here. All right, we're still gonna do our thing, training our traders, doing our thing, and I'll see y'all soon. God bless. Take care. See some of y'all Phantoms later in class. Thursday. So strap up and trade safe. God bless. Blue out. Cheers.